do it anyway. My name is Trung, and I'm a lecturer from International School, Vietnam National University, Hanoi, and I teach auditing risk management. So today, hopefully, I'm not trying to convince you guys to be an auditor, but come on in. Hey. Welcome, welcome. Just take a seat. Front row would be nice. Okay. That'll do it. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome. So have you guys been around much? Have you been around other sessions, other classes? Okay, cool. How was it? You like it? Okay. So are you guys seniors in school? Okay, great, great. You guys haven't missed much. I've just started to introduce myself. My name is Trung, and I'm from International School, and I teach auditing. And so today I'm just going to give you guys a really short sample of what an auditing class is like at International School. And I'm not trying to convince you guys to be auditors or to pick International School. Let's just at least get out of the classroom today and kind of see at least what auditing is. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have heard of all the majors, heard of all the directions on the career path, right? But it's hard for us being a 12th grader in high school to kind of know what a job is, what they are, right? A lot of information we got is from what our parents tell us, or what we might hear from the news and media, right? So let's kind of take a look at what auditing is today as a job, as a potential profession where you may choose one day, okay, instead of just a class. Okay, so basically, I'm just gonna get to know you guys a bit, and I'm just introduce myself for a little, and we're gonna share what auditing is. And the most important thing is, it's not what auditing is, but why do we care, right? That's gonna be the most important thing, right? Because let's be honest, nowadays we all have Google. Ever heard of Google, you guys? Ever heard of it? So what something is or how to do something, you don't really need a lecturer or a teacher to tell you, right? You can don't Google what something is. But the difference I'm trying to make here today is I'm trying to discuss why do I actually care about auditing, right? Why is it worth taking a look, okay? And how to prepare for it. Okay, so normally, I think it's not that we don't have much time, but we don't have much time for boring informations. That's why I'm not trying to give you guys all of my qualifications, all of my degrees and background. I'm sure you guys probably don't care that much. I don't either. But just a quick briefly about myself. I went to school in the United States for 6 years. Come on in, come on in. Oh, you guys finally came. Yeah. I went to school in the US for 6 years, and during that time, I worked for non-profit organizations, which has nothing to do with accounting and auditing. Okay, I worked for non-profit organizations. So when I came back into Vietnam, I did not start accounting and auditing right away, but I worked as an study abroad in English standard, right? Where I kind of help students to go, to study in the US, right? So it still has nothing to do with accounting. So after a few years, I kind of realized that it was time for me to start doing something related to my education. So I applied for an auditing firm called Ernst & Young. Ever heard of it? Ernst & Young? Yeah? Okay, it's kind of new for you guys, right? It's an American auditing firm. So I started working there until very recently, last year. I decided I had a passion for training and inspiring younger people. And so I took a step back and joined Vietnam National University. And that's why we're here, okay? Also, with all of that, I'm also a person that wants my student to succeed, okay? I know we all have that perception of lecturers and of teachers, because who are teachers? Teachers are the ones that give you tests. Teachers are the ones that give you assignments. Teachers are the ones that make you be on time. Teachers are the ones that make you not eating in class, not taking, using cell phone in class. So that sounds like horrible persons, right? Somebody's trying to make your life miserable, right? Right? But at the end of the day, I want you guys to kind of think a bit different, because at International School, we are actually people, beside, giving you guys misery with your life, we're also people that want you guys to succeed, okay? So that's who I am. That's who I really am. I want to know you guys a little bit, but don't worry, I'm not gonna ask for a credit card number or anything. One of the things I always interact with my students is that I really want to know who they are as a person, instead of just asking for the name and the majors and the class, right? because those are just informations, okay? So instead of, Nguyễn Văn A, 16 years old, being in the third year, right? It's just basic information. So normally I ask my student the craziest thing they have done. And that's gonna help them remembering too, right? I had a student named Thấu, and I would not be able to remember her until I told her, I asked her about the craziest things she has done. And she did board a flight to Australia by herself without telling her friend and her parents. Well, that's how I remember my students, right? And also, one other thing that's really important too, I always ask them, what do they want to be? Who do they want to become? Because let's be honest, we live in Vietnam, and a lot of our decisions are impacted by our parents. Let's be honest. A lot of the university we choose, the high school we choose, right, the classes we're taking, has impact by our parents. And that's not a bad thing, because parents, of course, they want the best for us. But sometimes, have you guys ever, considered sometimes where our interest and their interest may not be on the same page, okay? And let's be honest, it's a tough conflict to handle. And so that's why I really want to ask my students that who they really want to become. Because my goal in my class is not trying to make you guys, everybody become auditors. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to want to know who do you want to become, and I want to support you for that, okay? And at least by giving you an honest opinion about what auditor is, then you guys can decide for yourself if you want to be an auditor or not. And all of my class, about 50 students, only 30% of them actually want to be an auditor, which is perfectly fine, right? Which is perfectly fine. And so, just briefly, see, we don't have that many people. I want to go one at a time. Just let us know your name and who do you want to become and the craziest thing you have done. You don't have your parents here, so you can just go crazy. I don't mind. Or do you want to start? Okay? You don't have to stand up and just sit, that's fine. All right. You can sit either way, it's fine. Okay, what's your name? Đhqghn, okay. Welcome, Đhqghn.
What do you want me to answer?
Okay, so just let me know that. Who do you want to become? What do you really want to be?
Actually, I want to be a politician.
A politician?
Yes.
Politician, yeah, okay.
Especially, I want to work for the diplomatic department.
Oh, I want to be a diplomat.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I really love to talking with the people and standing in front of the people and talk my idea.
Okay.
And I really want to convince people to do what I want to do.
Okay, isn't that manipulating people though? Okay, that's cool. Public speaking is something people often fear rather than having interest in. So it's good for you. Good for you. Okay. I want to share the craziest thing you've done. Okay, you don't want to? That's fine. It's personal. Who want to go next? Let's give it a shot. Just let us know who you are. Oh wait, so we have a diplomat in the making here. Come on in. Come on in. Hello. Just pick a seat. Anywhere is fine. Oh, we just started. Please come on in. Okay, so who's next? You want to try? Give it a shot.
Yeah. My name is Ngân.
Okay, hello Ngân.
And I don't want to become a successful person. I want to become a valuable person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think I will study law.
Okay, you study law. Great.
I want to be a serious person. And the craziest thing I've ever done is once I had a nervous breakdown, I guess, and I shaved my head.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I at that time, I just don't care what people think about me.
I see.
So I did that.
I see. I feel you on that. See, that is something normally I would not remember Ngân as a student if I didn't know her story like that. And it would be no point in trying to persuading her to be an auditor if I did not know that she would want to be a lawyer, right? And so our international school would really value in knowing the student as who they are as a person. So it's okay if you see an auditing class. A lot of time being a professional, sometimes it's about doing the things you may not like, but it's necessary for you to achieve your further goal. All right. So even though you want to be a lawyer in the future, you just have to take economics, you just have to take English, right? You just have to take literatures, right? And so, who want to go? So one more person? Who want to go? Want to try? Yeah? Want to give it a shot? Okay, you cool. All right, great. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. For the next few minutes, I'm going to try not to lecture you guys on what auditing is, but just give you guys a slice of what it is and what kind of job you may end up getting when you decide to major in auditing, okay? Because at the end of the day, the biggest valuations for university students is not your GPA, but it's the job opportunity you have when you graduate, okay? The labor market will be the one that decides how quality your education is, okay? And so let's take a look at the profession. So don't take this as a class, don't take this as a lectures, but okay, it's a potential job opportunity. So you grew up, you want to be a diplomat, okay? So you probably have an idea of what diplomatic is, right? When you want to be a lawyer, you gotta have an idea what a lawyer is, right? And so I'm just introducing you to a new job. It's like firefighters, like police officers, like doctor. This auditors, right? It's a new kind of job you probably heard of before, but let's really know what they are, what it is. So the context here, this is probably something we discussed in the very first audit class during your accounting and auditing career. And it's probably about your 5th semester in college. And it would probably require some other basic knowledge about economics, accounting, finance. But I would just try to throw it out anyway because I believe that we can explain anything for anybody, okay? You are in last year of your high school now, you are definitely capable. Okay, so the term audit itself in the dictionary is really lengthy and boring. Official inspection of somebody, organization's account, okay? So kind of think of them as somebody when you try to inspect something, right? A group of people. You know what inspect, right? To inspect, yeah? To test something, to examine something, okay? So where do you often hear the word audit at? I know it sounds financial and it sounds really professional and business-ish, but actually you probably heard the word audit in a lot of other places. Anybody ever seen any beauty pageant? Miss World, Miss Universe? You guys ever seen those? Yeah? Not? No, you don't care about beauty? Okay, cool. You ever seen Miss Vietnam though, right? You know who, everybody know who's the current Vietnam Miss of 2018-19? Huh? Oh, and here, yeah? So you guys seen beauty pageant, right? So if you ever heard that in the beauty pageant, they always mention that, okay, this beauty pageant is tabulated by Ernst & Young or the score is being audited by KPMG, right? So they are auditors being hired to make sure the score of the beauty pageants are being calculated correctly, okay? So that's probably a place that you might heard of auditor or the word audit, okay? Or some other places might be, it might sound more serious where you have the tax audit, right? You have somebody from the government and come and make sure that you pay enough amount of tax, okay? Okay, so I have a tax auditor that comes to my company and make sure that I pay enough, okay? Or other context is that you heard of financial audits, where people come and check to make sure financial figures are being prepared or being presented correctly, right? So you guys know the Đhqghn case? Yeah, everybody talk about it, right? And so when they have to decide how much money they're gonna split between the husband and the wife, right? We have to have somebody come in and step in and check to make sure that they split in the correct amount, the right proportion, and the value is as stated, right? So that's probably another context where auditors comes in, okay? So you probably heard of it around in your daily life. And we believe that it doesn't matter, hey, welcome, come on in. And we believe that it doesn't matter how complicated or how business-ish the phrase and the term might sound, everything you learn in university is supposed to be relevant to your daily life, okay? So these probably are some other places you heard of audit before. So let's put that in a business setting. So I've talked about inspecting, examining numbers in a business setting. What is a business? A business, think of them simple, okay? A business would be, you guys probably know this already before. This you learn in basic economics, but I'm just trying to throw it out again. In a business setting, what are we trying to do? We're trying to sell either a product or a service, right? At KFC, they sell you chicken as a product. But a service means that somebody bring the chicken to you and say, please enjoy your meal. That's a service, okay? And so as a business, they either sell a service or a product. And what's the purpose of doing that? To make profit, to make money, okay? So I want everybody to think simple with me here, okay? There's nothing fancy and complicated yet. So on a daily basis, the people who run the company and trying to sell the chickens and try to treat the customer, they operate it on a daily basis. And for everything they do, for every decision they make, they're based on what? They're based on information, right? At the end of the day, if you want to know how much chicken you want to buy for the next day, you got to base on how many customers comes in each day, right? If you want to know how much you should charge for a burger, a chicken burger, you should looking for the income of people around the area, how much is appropriate, right? So looking for how much it costs for you to make a burger, right? Things like that are just information being used to decide on business activities, okay? That's how a business works. It's really simple. And so the information like that for a business is prepared in the form of the financial statement, which is some of the most important information you can try to think and know and understand a business. At the end of the day, you want to know how much money we spend, how much money we can make, right? How much money we need to borrow, how much money we need to charge the client, the customers, okay? And in order to make that decisions, you have to understand about financial information. And you have to know that the information being given to you are trustworthy, okay? So anybody here works? Anyone works? Not yet? Anybody had a job? Okay, you had a job, right? You had a job. So I hope the parents have jobs too. I'm just kidding. When you have a job, are you in a leader position, do you think? Are you in charge of somebody, or are you just working for someone right now?
Yeah, I dream about being a leader.
Okay, in your dream you are a leader, okay? But in reality now, are you a leader? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So you're supposed to report to somebody, right? Your boss. You have a boss, right? And so when you think yourself as a boss, do you think you can trust all your employees? Do you think? I can, but not all the time, right? Not all the time. And so the most important thing to making decisions in a business is based on information. And as a businessman or a businesswoman, you don't have all the time in the world to go and supervise every single person's work, right? You can't supervise every single activities or daily operations of your business, right? You have to rely on other reports. You have to rely on the information others give to you to make that important decisions, okay? And so how would you want to make sure that the information given to you is reliable, okay? So you got to have somebody come and help you verify that everything you've seen on the report, all the information you've heard or you received is reliable, right? And that person is the auditors, okay? Okay, you kind of understand where we are now? So think about the Miss Universe contest. So they have auditors come in and help with the beauty pageant because they want to make sure the public know that the voting result can be trusted, okay? Who knows, what if the judges can rake the score, right? That's why auditors comes in. So at the end of the day, think of auditors, somebody come and inspect and examine and make sure information can be trusted, okay? And that's a really simple concept, but think about the information that are being used. We call them the user of the financial statements, okay? And so as everything, we have two types of users, the internal and the external, right? So in a company, who use the financial information? We have the CEO, right? We have the management, right? The employees. Anybody in that company can use financial information of that company. And we have the other group called the external decision makers, where the people who outside the company, but want to use the information of the company too. Think about the tax collector, right? If you want to collect a tax amount, you guys know how tax works, right? Every company has to deduct a percentage of the profit, right? To give back to the government, right? And so if they want to know how much money the company really makes, they have to rely on an auditors to make sure that the company really makes 100,000. You guys ever heard of Pepsi? Yeah, I'm sure. The funny thing about Pepsi is that it's getting bigger every day, right? And it's getting more and more profitable, which seems like, but on the financial statements, it's always record a loss. Because in a company, when you don't make profit, you don't have to pay taxes, okay? You only pay tax when you make money, okay? And so the auditors come in and they verify that, okay, Pepsi don't really make money. And so So we see there's always the conflicts. There are always things that we can't really trust. There are things that may seem like what it is, but it's not. Okay? And financial information is so important. Think of them as investors as well. You guys ever heard of the stock market? Everybody heard of it before, right? Okay, a stock market. What is it? What is the stock market? What do you think? Okay, investing is a market, right? If you go to a supermarket, you buy food, you buy milk, you buy groceries. So if you go to a stock market, what do you buy? You buy stock. And what that stock is, what the stock means, stock is just an ownership of a company, okay? So if you guys go to Vin School now, right? If you purchase Vin Group stock, you're practically an owner of a Vin Group among 200,000 other owners, right? And so at the end of the day, when you want to decide, should I buy Vin Group stock or should I buy TH Group stock, right? Or should I buy Đhqghn stock, right? How do you decide? You want to know how well they can make money, right? Right? But of course, everybody wants to say that I make a lot of money, but can you just trust them like that with your money? Of course you can't, right? That's where auditors comes into. So at the end of the day, I'm not worried so much about the terminology or the textbook definitions. Just want you guys to consider auditing as a profession, okay? What does an auditor do, okay? So that's some of the cases. I kind of put the word information risk, because at the end of the day, auditors are somebody who try to reduce that information risk. So the risk that financial informations may be misstated or may be mispresented, okay? And financial information is being used by a lot of people to make very important decisions, okay? So that's why they hire us, the auditors, okay? That's how I want people to understand about the auditing jobs. So to kind of recap all of those things, so what exactly we do as auditor? We audit the financial statement. We make sure that financial information are being presented correctly. So we assure all the people that use information like that of the trustworthiness of the information, okay? And how do we do that? Of course, we collect evidence, right? Accounting evidence, operation evidence to make sure that people really present the correct information, okay? And then when we say, what is the correct information? We kind of have a standard and a criteria, right? And at the end of the day, as the auditor, we have the right to give the opinion. Okay, this information is correct, that information is not correct. Just like the beauty pageant, right? Ernst & Young would come out and have a statement that Miss Universe 2019 result is being judged and tabulated correctly, okay? So that all of us viewers sort of, okay, we know that Henny is not being strict at that, so she really deserves to be in the top 5, right? You see? So that's how auditors verify information. But here's the thing, it sounds simple and it sounds easy, right? But auditing is actually not for everyone, okay? Just like not everybody can be a doctor. You can have a passion for singing, right? But not everybody can be a singer, okay? Chipu, right? When she decided to sing, she got so much backlash, right? She loves singing, she's a great person, But not everybody is destined to be a great singer, okay? So auditing kind of works in the same way. So kind of take a look at what some of the requirements. First of all is you got to have the knowledge. When you want to make sure financial statements are correct, you got to understand how financial statement works. And who do you think prepared the financial statement in the company? Who do you think prepared those? Accountant, exactly, right? So that's why you often hear the major accounting and auditing comes together, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand. Auditing is in a way you can understand that we come and examine the accounting work, okay? So you have to have the knowledge about accounting, the knowledge about the rules and the standards of what accounting, how accounting should be done. And after all, you got to understand the business, right? Financial information of a beauty clinic is different than financial information maybe from a car manufacturer. I used to audit a golf service company where I have to come and make sure all the golf courses are really worth the value they are, and I have no knowledge about golf, so I have to go learn again what golf is and how do you measure the golf courses, how do you evaluate the golf carts and equipment and everything. So it requires a lot of knowledge, okay? And also, the most important thing is how to deal with people. I always tell my students at school that on a scale of 100% of difficulty, 30% comes in the technical part of the knowledge. But 70% comes the difficult in how you deal with other people. Because at the end of the day, audit is a service you provide. Okay? You charge people with money. They pay you to examine their financial statements. Okay? And so dealing with people is actually the hardest part about being an auditor. Okay? And at the end of the day, also you have to be objective and be fair about it. Because when you give opinion on something, it's very easy when we don't like a company or we don't like a certain people, it's very easy for it to have biases, right? You guys know what bias are, right? Bias? Kind of unfair opinion on someone. Okay, so I'm not trying to bash the ladies, but you guys ever had a story that for the guy, when you see another guy, let's for example, if we wear the same shirt, then we become best friends right away. But if two girls see each other and they wear the same pair of shoes, they become enemies, right? Okay? So even though they're not doing anything wrong, but you just don't like that girl because she chose to wear the same shoe, right? How dare she, right? And so, of course, when you don't like a person, it's very easy to have unfair opinion about them, okay? So if you don't like a girl already because she wears the wrong shoe that day, and if somebody else asks you about the opinion about that person, of course, it's hard for you to be fair about her, right? And so the same thing with being an auditor, you have to be fair about the business. Just because you don't like BT's, you like Adidas better, doesn't mean you can just bash BT's financial statement and say that they're a bad company, right? You see? And so what do you think is the hardest? Dealing with people, or being fair, or being knowledgeable? What do you think is the hardest?
Being fair.
Being fair, right? Oh, I think dealing with people is pretty hard too. Right? And, but then being fair all the time is really difficult because we are human after all, right? On a bad day, right, it's really easy to have biases, okay? That's why I said that this is not the most difficult job in the world, not at all. Being a doctor, being a pilot is a lot harder than this. But it's not for everyone, okay? You gotta be objective, you gotta be fair, and you gotta be good with people, okay? Because at the end of the day, we're working with people, right? We're dealing with clients. Okay, so we may not be giving out burgers at KFC, but we're working with CEO, we're working with chief accountants of a bank, of a company, right? So that's a different kind of clients. And treating them is a different story than just giving out a burger, right? Okay? Okay, so here's the textbook definitions, but that's just pretty much exactly everything we've been building up until this point, okay? So at the end of the day, that's how I normally start my lectures. We build up concept together, and then we come to the definitions, instead of throwing you the definition and try to work through this. Because let's be honest, I was a student like you guys do, and I hated textbook, right? Okay, I have the word too long, didn't read, TLDR, the acronyms. Too long, did not read, because it's just too long. It's just a bunch of lengthy block of text. I don't want to read either, let's be honest. But at the end of the day, just because we build the concept together, so we kind of understand that it's a profession where we collect and examine evidence about information. And we decided that if information is according to the criteria or standard or not, okay? So that's pretty much everything we've been building up until this point. And it's not for everyone. You got to be competent. Competent just means that you have knowledge, you're knowledgeable, you have all the knowledge related, required, you're good with the people, as well as being independent, mean you have no biases against them. Just think about it like this. Here's my student Chao, right? If I were to introduce Chao, right, to Belle, a female student, hey, I think Belle is a really great girl. What do you think about dating her, right? So of course Chao would want to ask other opinion about how Belle is as a girl, right? And so he comes to his friend, Miss Huyền right here, right? And on a bad day, that if Belle is owing Miss Huyền money, it's really difficult for Miss Huyền to say the nice thing about Belle, right? Right? So we have to make sure that the person giving the opinion is not independent to the people that require the opinion, okay? That's how it works, okay? So think about the auditor that come tabulate the beauty contest that has Miss Henier from Vietnam participating in. He or she can't be Vietnamese, right? Right? What if he or she rigged the result, right? And so being fair is actually important. Okay, so we have the textbook definitions. So at the end of the day, I want you guys to, instead of thinking it as a lecture, as a whatever it is, think of them as a service you provide, okay? You go to a beauty salon, you got a face mask, right? You got a massage, that's a service, right? You go to an auditing company, you ask an auditor to come in and provide an opinion on the financial statement, that's a service, okay? So we are service providing people, okay? But what is auditing is not important, or how to do audit is not important. The most important thing is why do I actually care, right? Because I always say that, you guys know Google, right? I'm sure everybody is proficient with Google, right? You can always look up what something is or how is something, how to do something on Google, right? But the important part is why do I actually care about auditing is something that I want to support you guys, to help you guys understand today. So why do we really care about auditing? You guys know the word importance, the word, definitions? The dictionary said that it's the state or fact of being great, significant, or value. So at the end of the day, we only care about things that are important to us, right? We only care about things that has values to us. Think about you guys are only in 12th grade, right? So you guys are taking quite a few exams and tests during your high school life, yeah? So think about the motivation. Why you have to try to study and take a test? What motivation? Do you think of the value the test brings to you as like, oh, I'm going to gain so much knowledge studying for this test. Oh, I want to know to confirm all my understanding throughout this semester on the subject of geography, right? No, you guys don't think like that, right? You guys care because you're afraid your dad will spank you the next day if you get a bad grade, right? Right? You're afraid the teacher is going to scold you, right? You're afraid that maybe your GPA, will be bombed after you fail a test, right? And so you're not seeing the values of education yet, okay? So I don't want you guys to come into an audit class of mine and being afraid that you bomb a test because you have to pay to take the test again, right? Or you're afraid that your parent will scold you or spank you. I want you guys to see the value of auditing. Why do we care? Because it is a profession, like I said, that gives you so much for just a short amount of time, okay? So we kind of know it's a job, it's a profession, but now we're talking about why is it great. Okay. The reason why you should care, not because auditing is a cool job to be or it's a high demand job, but you, as an auditor, you work in a professional environment. And I'm sure this is something that 100% of the employers will say to you, oh, come to us, you work in a very professional environment. Even you go to a place, right, and they hire a dishwasher, oh, we work in a professional environment, right? Anybody can say that, and everyone will say that, okay? But as an auditor, similar to the person who sells a burger at KFC, you're selling a services, but your customer, your clients, are CEO of company, are chief accountants of companies, right? Are financial officer of big banks, okay? So those people require the highest level of professionalism, okay? So this is not something company promote so you would enjoy in the company, but this is a part of the requirement. You have to be extremely professional to be, a part of the auditing companies. When I worked for Ernst & Young, it's an American auditing company in Vietnam. One day I come to work and my shirt is not ironed carefully. I have to come back and re-iron it before I can go see the client, right? If I did not to shine my shoes, I have to come and shine my shoes before I talk to my client, okay? I have to learn how to talk on the phone to a CEO of a bank. I gotta learn how to write an email. I gotta know how to be on time. Doesn't matter if there's a tornado outside, right? And so we always talk about professional. We throw around that term loosely. But at the end of the day, professional are all the little things that make a big difference. And sometimes that means doing the thing you may not like, you may not want to, but you always be responsible to doing that, and you will do it, okay? And so, as an auditor, you will be thrown into a professional environment. And you guys have heard of the phrase survival of the fittest? Survival of the fittest, yeah? So kind of the tough environment will mold you into a better person, okay? You guys know the movie 300, the Sparta? You heard Sparta? Yeah? So all the little young boys are being thrown into battles. So they fought until all of them died. The one that survived come out and become a warrior. This guy like that. But not in the physical fighting sense, but in the professionalism sense. Okay? A lot of young people will come in, and the one that stay professional will survive. Okay? Hunger Games, ever heard of Hunger Games? Yeah, it is like that, just kidding. Okay, multidisciplinary, because in order to do audit, you have to understand accounting, you have to understand how a business works. So you have to learn very different type of knowledge, right? And it combines a lot of professions and majors instead of just learning about accounting only, okay? I audit a beauty clinic. You have to understand how beauty works, besides accounting, besides auditing, okay? So that's the job that gives you so many different career paths. And then one of the things that I'm proud the most when I say that I'm an auditor, walk out of a Big Four company, is that a complete skill set that it gives me. When you work with clients that are CEO, we work with clients that are chief officer of a bank, you have to be proficient with all the skills. Interviewing skills, negotiating skills, presenting skills, right? Even Microsoft Office skill, Excel skill, math skill, software skill. Seriously? And like I said, it's a Hunger Game. You do all the means it takes, either fighting with a bow, fighting with bare hands, right? Anything you can. That's how you stay competitive. And this environment forces you and forges you into that person, okay? So that's why as an auditor, when we work out, we can just pretty much take part in any jobs because we have the widest skill set, right? You can do anything, okay? Motive to handle pressure, like I said, this job is not for everyone. It's not the hardest job. It's just not for everyone, okay? But if you can handle that pressure, you will stay calm, you stay composed, and you'll be willing to face any obstacle in the business world. Trust me, when you work under high pressure in an audit company, you'll pretty much experience the worst, okay? I know it sounds terrible, but if you see the outcome of it, then I'm sure that it will give you so much motivation to persevere through it. And one of the things that's really fun about auditing, besides all of that scary thing that people don't often talk about, is the traveling. Anybody who loves travel? Going to places? Yeah, you guys do? And during the time I was an auditor, I'm pretty much 9 out of 12 months of the year that I would not be home. I've been just traveling and flying places, staying in 5-star hotel, working with clients. And even though the work is stressful, but that's the nice part about being auditors, because your client is everywhere, you have to come and meet them. I audit Vietcombank, but they have 108 different branches across Vietnam. So today I'll be sitting in Hanoi, the headquarters. The next day I'll be flying to Đhqghn and spend 2 weeks there. And the next 3 weeks will be doing inventory counts in Saigon, right? And when I audit Worry Bank, I audit Worry Bank for 2 years. I fly to Korea, I fly to their branches in Laos, right? That's a part of the job. The company pays you to travel and to fight everywhere. If you see in an airport, in a suitcase, dressed up nicely in a suit, walk straight with the shoulder wide, just switching from this plane to that plane, that's very much likely could be an auditor. Okay? So if you love traveling, then that's the fun part of audit that people don't often talk about. And then the last part is the fast career progressions. Because the job is so stressful and it's not for everyone, but if you survive the Hunger Game, you are for sure being promoted and progressed. Every 10 months, I got promoted. It is given, okay? It is given. You just need to be there and survive, you will promote. Okay, and so typically at the highest tier of an auditing professions, it takes you about 8 to 10 years to be at the top of the field. Instead of 10 years working in a bank, you will become maybe a middle tier manager. Okay, it's just that if you're willing to dedicate and to survive the pressures, okay, you will be molded into leaders, into a higher tier of your industries. That's why when I meet chief accountant, when I meet CEO of banks, they're surprised that I'm only 30 years old. And they are 40, 50 something. But I work with them I treat them, I give them services, okay? And for that reason, not only in Vietnam, but in America, that's where I studied, I went to school in America. All the big four companies, you guys have heard of big four companies, which is the four biggest auditing firm, Ernst & Young, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Deloitte. All those companies, they are baby steps. People get out of university, they want to throw themselves in that, get the 2 or 3 year being an auditor at a big four firm, and then it open up a new job, new career path for them, okay? And so, because you get a complete skill set, you're at the highest level of professionalism, okay? And you can handle all the pressures, okay? And you work with the highest level of a business company, the CEO, the CFO, the board of directors. I'm pretty sure there's not a single business job that you cannot handle. That's the reason why we all have to fight for a job when you get out of university, right? Everybody try to get a good job. It's so hard to compete with people with experience, right? But if you get into a big four company and you get out of that after 2 or 3 years, you will not be fighting for jobs, but you will be selecting jobs because job offer will come to you. That's how it works, okay? Katniss evidence, right? Think of the Hunger Games, okay? So I always say that auditing is the job that will help you land that ultimate job, okay? And so, so how do you prepare for it? Even though I make things might sound scary and I make things might sound really competitive, but you guys are at the perfect age because you are about to start your university career. And the next 4 years may not be the biggest deciding factor, but it will impact so much how the next 40 years of your life span out, right? And so people always say that, oh, only for the senior in university, only for the 4th year student to start preparing. But I always tell people to start preparing as soon as you start in university, okay? Because at the end of the day, when I work as an auditor and I see a lot of new graduates coming, I don't see a problem with their knowledge. I don't see a problem with their personality, but I see a problem with the lack of preparations. If you're so being familiar with university, being so easy and laid back, it's hard for you to be, extremely professional in one day, right? You have to start preparing for it over time, okay? And it's hard to have a multiple skill set when you get out of college, right? You gotta practice for them. You guys know the 10,000 hour rules? 10,000 hour? If you want to be proficient or good at something, you gotta spend at least 10,000 hours practice it. That's scientifically researched, okay? Do you know how much hour you guys, a young person, spend on Facebook and social media a day? Just guess. How many hours? A day. How many hours a day?
10.
8 hours. 8 hours, exactly. Research said that an average young student spends 8 hours a day on social media. So in about 3 years of using Facebook constantly, you guys would net about 10,000 hours on Facebook. Think about it. So after 3 years, you guys will be expert at Facebook, right? Same thing with another thing. If you want to be good at interviewing, you gotta interview for 10,000 hours. If you want to be good at Excel, do Excel for 10,000 hours. Right? So you don't want to wait until your final year of college to start doing that. Because after college, you can't spend 3 years working on your skill, right? That's 3 years already, you're being missed out on the labor market. Okay? So that's why you guys are at the perfect time to start right now, prepare yourself. So instead of telling my student to study a lot, I tell my student to prepare to be a professional. Okay? Because that's what's gonna help you even better than the knowledge you need. So answer me this. What do you think is more important, knowledge or skills? Just whatever you think in your personal opinion. Skills? Okay. So what are you in school for? Are you in school to learn knowledge or skill? Both, okay. So a lot of my students at school, they say that we're in school to learn knowledge, but they say that skill is more important. So I ask them, why do you spend time learning something that's not as important? Right? The answer is there's not one thing that's more important than the other. You have to have both. Okay? Okay, if we do simple labor job like washing the dishes, right? You don't need much knowledge. You just need skills. But in a professional workplace, you gotta have both. The thing is that you can't have both overnight. Sure, you learn knowledge throughout your 4 years university, But a lot of students wait until the last year to learn skills, okay? Or some of them don't even bother learning skill at all, right? And so prepare both, okay? I always tell my students the first day when you get into university, you gotta think like an accounting student, okay? That's one thing I love about going to university in America. The lecturers and the university, they make you think as a person of that profession right away. You can tell that person is a medical student. You can tell that student is a law student, okay? So I think how you think, how you put your mindset is way more important than what books you read for that knowledge, seriously. When you start thinking like an accountant student, you behave differently, you think differently, and you start thinking the importance of learning the skill required for that profession, okay? At the same time, you gotta start thinking like a young professional. And that is probably the hardest part. Raise your hand if you've never been late to class. Oh, I dare you. I dare you. See? Right? And sometimes we think of professionalism as something, you know, too extreme, something really hard, some people in a suit, right? Talking nicely, professionally. But that's not it. It starts with little things. Sometimes it's about being on time. Have you ever tell your parents or your teachers something and you did not do it?
Yeah, sure.
What would be the classic example? Hey, clean your room. Okay, in 5 minutes. And then 5 days later, it's still not been clean, right? Sometimes a professional is about doing the things that you may not enjoy, but it's necessary. And also sometimes doing the thing that you say you would do. That's a professional, right? When you say you'll be on time, you will be on time, okay? That's professional. And it takes at least 14 to 20 days to form a habit.
Yeah.
So you can't just decide to be on time tomorrow. And then it's difficult to be on time for the next 2 months, 3 years, 5 years, right? If you don't have a habit. Think of the bad habit, you can start forming them, right? A lot of people smoke often, they end up being addicted to smoking and they have a habit of smoking. So think of not smoking as a habit, okay? You can start building that habit of not smoking yourself, counting 1 day to 14. So do that with being on time, do that with preparing schoolwork. Let's be honest, I hate homeworks. I was a student like you guys. All the teachers that you've studied in before, all of them been student before, okay? We all wanted to have fun. But in order to be able to stand here, to talk to you about auditors, to talk to you about my experience being an auditor at the most prestigious auditing firm, I had to learn how to be professional. And it's a learning process. I'm still learning every day, okay? And so think about it as a young professional. A lot of students wait, okay, I'm gonna wait until when I get a job. Then I'll be professional and it'll be okay, right? But habit takes time to form, okay? Also, put in the work, not the hours. Here's one thing I want students to kind of think differently about accounting student. Because for accounting, there are a lot of subjects, a lot of knowledge required to be learned. And so a lot of them think about just grinding the books, right? Grinding the textbook and studying hours and hours. I don't think it's a good way to learn to study, okay? When you study, you really study. And that's the different, very new concept to a lot of university students. Let's think, okay, I'm gonna wait 10 hours before the exam. I'm gonna study 10 hours straight in a row the night before the exam. Everybody ever did that? Yeah? Sounds familiar? Well, welcome to the club. But the thing that taught me a lot about being an auditor is that you really put in the work, not the hours. When you have to study too much doing something, you're doing it wrong, okay? You know that, you have heard of Microsoft and Bill Gates? Bill Gates, his philosophy is he tried to hire lazy people. Because lazy people would try to work the smartest way instead of working a lot. You see? I mean, that's really a big philosophy. It's not he only hire lazy people, you know? But you guys understand what he's trying to say, right? So what I'm trying to say that even though it's a tough profession, but as a student, start smart. Don't study much, okay? I don't have a student who's in my class here, but for every single semester, I put in my class, don't study too much. But really study when you study, okay? And also, being an auditor, you always work in team. Nobody do audit alone, right? And so it is important to start being a team player. And in university, you start doing a lot of projects with other university students, okay? And you guys ever do group project in high school? Yeah? So do you ever have that solo syndrome where one student would pretty much do 90% of the work? Yeah? You ever heard of that solo symptoms? Okay. What do you think about it? Do you think, is it a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
It's really bad.
Okay. So what, oh, it's not fair, okay. So do you think if you are a person that do all the work, you think it's not fair, right? But if you are a person that's not doing the work, but still take the credit, of course you would like it, right? You enjoy it, right? But that's the bad part. That's the dangerous part. When you start thinking that it is okay to do that, right? Okay, I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna try later, okay? I know this is not hard, right? Somebody else will do it, who cares? That's the dangerous part. Because the part where you put in the work, when you try to do something, when you try to learn, it's the part where you progress and you get better, okay? And so, being an auditor is not hard, but it's not for everyone because you work with a team of people. And in reality, you don't get to choose on the best people to work with. You don't get to choose your employee. Okay, in class, you can fix that solo problem by what? By choosing the smart student, by choosing the hardworking student to be a group with. But in the workplace, you don't get to make that choice. There will be people in your group who are not hardworking. There are people in the group that are hardworking today, but tomorrow they have family problem. They can't be hardworking anymore, even if they wanted to. That's how the workplace works. So being a good team player is not about finding the best people to team with, but it's about making the best result with the people you have. Okay? And that's the part of being in the workplace, being an auditor. Okay? So if you prepare yourself for that, because I know it's very discouraging to be in a group and you know 3 of them never show up to group meetings, you know, and they never turn in any work, right? It's really easy to hate at that friends, you know, it's really easy to blame them. But think of a way that try to encourage them, try to make the most out of these situations. And that's something we probably not often think of. We just think of finishing the subject already, right? And so if you can be a good team player, you will excel really well in audit. Okay? So here at international school, I can't really say about other majors, other professions, but at least in auditing, I'm really proud to let you know that at international school, we are the only 2 schools in Vietnam, besides International University of Economics, that got qualified from CPA Australia and ACCA. They are the highest accounting and auditing career associations in the respective 2 countries, right? And you just need to graduate with an accounting degree and auditing degree from international school. You already got 6 out of the 12 CPA courses for the exam exempt, okay? In order to get 6 out of 12 exams like that, you need to at least get 2 years of work experience at a Big 4 company, see? But you can already achieve that just by finishing and have a degree right here, okay? And that's something that only 2 schools in Vietnam can have. And if you're really serious about pursuing this career, that's going to give you a head start. Instead of spending another year or 2, you know, studying for that 6 subjects out of the 12 subjects for the exams. And we will, at international school, we believe that the employers, the companies, the labor market will be the best examiner of your educations, not the test that I give you, right? After 5 years of university, how can we remember all the test result? How can we remember all the GPA, right? Who cares about that anymore, right? Not that anymore. After 5 years, look back, where are you working now? What position you're working in? If you're an auditor, right? Are you working in a Big 4 firm? Are you working in a small firm, right? How much do you get paid as an auditor? Those are the indicators of your educations. And we're proud to present that at international school. We have students, alumni who graduate, work as all in the Big 4 firms, which is the 4 most prestigious auditing firm you can get in the world. And talk about other top 10, top 5, and all the Vietnamese firms. It's just, I can't even keep count of it. It's way too many, right? And at international school, I don't know about other majors, but with accounting and auditing, 100% of your lecturers will either study or worked abroad before. And all of us has industry experience. So we're not teachers trying to teach auditing. We are auditors, former auditors, and tax agency, right? And finance analysis that comes in and teach you, okay? And that's something I think not all the school can offer you, because let's be honest, when you want to learn how to cook, you can look at a cookbook, right? Will it make you a good chef? No, not enough. It can help, but it's not enough. You're gonna be in the kitchen, you're gonna pick up that knife and start cutting meat and start preparing for a real meal, right? So we are not cookbook author, we're not cookbook writers, right? We're not bloggers, we are chefs that come in and teach you guys how to cook, okay? And one of the things that we do in auditing and accounting is that we do simulation training. You guys know the word simulations? You heard the word video game sim? Sim, yeah? Simulations, just pretty much you try to imitate the real life situations. And that's how exactly on the audit company, they train the employers. They create a scenario where you have a real client, you have a real CEO of a company, you try to work with that person. And I do that in my class. Okay? So you start picking up a knife and start cutting meat in my class. Not literally, but figuratively, right? And so do you have any concern, any questions, or answers? I would love to talk to you guys more about anything, about the class, about the school, about the professions, about life as an auditor.
The students. Any question for us?
Yeah, just anything.
How much salary do you get a month?
The best question. The only question that matters, right? Can I have a pen? Here's the thing. The thing about auditors is that you guys know the supply and demand. Let's just say if you ever hire a person for work, like if you need a housekeeper, for example. If in your area there's no housekeeper available, so one comes in and you really need her, of course she can ask for a high price. She can ask for a high salary, right? But let's assume that your house is really nice and really wealthy, and there are 500 housekeepers waiting outside. Of course, you can lower the salary, right? Right? Because you have the power. Oh, if you don't want to work for me, I'll choose somebody else. That's how it is for Big Four companies. I always talk about Big Four companies, even though there are a lot of other audit companies, but I always talk about Big Four because they are the best. And at VNUIS, we consider if you want to be an auditor, work for Big Four company. Okay? Other companies don't really matter that much to us, right? And so other Big Four companies, there are thousands of applicants trying to get a job each year. So let's look at this as a scale of the pay salaries. It might not start very high, but the beautiful thing about auditing is that the curve spikes really hard. So normally, if you start out as the other places, I would say that's the straight line is the audit salary, and at the dot, maybe other jobs salaries. So you may work as a banker. You start out maybe a bit higher than the first year auditors, but after 3 years, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you start progress a little bit with your salary as a banker, okay? But with an auditor, you might start a little bit lower, and it stay low for a while. But the second you make it to manager after about 3 or 5 years, it starts spiking. While others are still like this. And the most beautiful thing is that after about 8 or 10 years, when you make the highest level, the partner level, you start spiking upward, like that. And so you might start out maybe 10, 15 millions a month, which is not high as you expect for international company. But because there are 5,000 people trying to get that job, so the company have the right to keep it low. Because after a few years, you remember the Hunger Game, the one that survived, we got a really big spike on their paychecks. So after about 7 or 8 years, you start making $10,000 a month. How about that, right? after 5 to 8 years. The CEO of Ernst & Young Vietnam currently making $50,000 a month. And he started out as a job at $700. Okay? So think about the long game. If you work for Citibank, the biggest American bank in Vietnam, you may make $1,000 on your first day. But it will range from 1,000 to 5,000 for the next 20 years. Right? Okay? And so the reason why that, not a lot of us can handle this job. After a few years, they drop out already. So why bother paying them well, right? But the one that survive, yeah, it spiked really hard. Really hard. Okay? So I hope that answers it. And one of the reasons why that Big Four company don't really want to pay you that high when you got out of school, because after 2-3 years working as a Big Four company, even just have that on your CV, you can get much higher pay job already after 3 years. Seriously. Because that's what it gives you, not the high salary of the first year, but the opportunity to learn a much higher pay job after only 2-3 years. And if you want to stick around, right, after 7-8 years, you start out 10,000 a month. 10,000 in Vietnam is quite a lot, because that's about how much an American, you know, I'll say maybe a registered nurse or a physicist in the United States make a year. And they require 10 years of education, okay? And then we use that salary and live in Vietnam, yeah. But the Hunger Game, like I said, everything comes with a price, okay? Any other questions? Is there any concerns? Yeah. If you love travel, you know, and you have a good attitude, and you're really determined to be a professional, then I think auditing would suit you really well. The knowledge is not hard. Every company would train you. We will give you enough knowledge for you. We never throw you to the clients without preparing you. It's just do you have the attitude and do you have the determinations to be up to it. Okay? So after today, I'm not trying to give you guys a lecture. I just want to introduce you guys to a new kind of job. You guys heard of police officer, you guys heard of doctor, you're gonna know what a firefighter is, you're gonna know what a single is, now you're gonna know what an auditor is. Okay? And so if you don't have any further questions, thank you for joining today, okay? And feel free to talk to any of us afterward, okay? All righty. Thank you all.